Alrighty guys, so in getting into the combo, obviously you're going to need an arc light somewhere in there, but obviously, clearly you guys know Alpha, Zeta, these are just blank cards. Alpha, pitching Zeta, you're going to end up searching for your Ben 10, then obviously pitching the Ben 10 to special your Alpha. Those things are clearly known. Don't think I need to explain too much there, but your Fairy Search is going to end up being Diviner. And your Medianus. Now, obviously, this search that I just made can change. If you already have an orange light, if you know that they have a certain hand trap, and you know that you have a fairy in your hand, and you can get to an orange light, and you can still see another way where maybe you have a Ben 10 in your hand still, and another dry child. That's what I mean. Like, there's so much to talk about there that like it's hard to quantify without like really showing each one, and I'm just not doing all that, guys. But anyways, you're gonna then overlay for your Fafnir when I get to it. Shout out to Fafnir, it's the homie. But again, overlaying for Fafnir is gonna give you the ability to dump Gamma. So now these are in your graveyard. Now clearly, usually from there is again another moment, and this is where Dry China is kind of creative. You can choose what to do and in what way that you want to do it. Depending on what my hand is, like if these were just bad cards and this is all that I could really work with, and I'd be like, okay, well, normal summon Diviner, activate effect, and then send my Arc Light. That's what I would do first, just because I would need a target for this, wouldn't I? Just in case. We're just saying worst case scenario, right? So then Arc Light is going to be able to send, and then Arc Light is going to give you the ability to add Amorphactor Pain. From there, you're pretty much set up with everything that you want, but the Amorphactor Pain is pretty much going to be basically fodder, I guess. So this is your graveyard here. This is what's down here. From here, activating, essentially, let's say, yeah, I like to do that first. From here, because you need to set up the fodder for Gamma here, you would want to activate here, detaching Zeta. Usually I have the ritual spell. I want to protect Alpha. I don't like getting it crowed or bailed or whatever. I want to use the one that I don't need to then summon back the Ben 10. If you have an extraordinary brick and you feel like you need to get to even more names than that, maybe you want to get to a Delta to fix something over here, again, you can go into Beatrice right here. But for now, we don't need to do all that. We're just going to keep it simple and tribute off the Ben 10 for the Gamma that is in the graveyard, and then summon back the Zeta that we just used. That way we can kind of have as much plus as we need, I guess. And then clearly this will be in the graveyard. So this is your hand. Let me clarify everything that's going on. This is your hand. This is what's in the grave. And now you got another Ben 10 search. And this time, in my opinion, just again, keeping it basic. Search real quick. I'm gonna search for orange light. Now, the reason why I'm just showing this line of play, this doesn't have to be. So right here, this doesn't have to be. I can choose to turn some of my board into an IP and then just summon this guy. Really easy to do, right? Or I can grab this and then set up to protect with Mirage. It's really up to you, again, depending on the matchup. So if I know that they need to fight through this card, if they can't fight through this card, and if they're playing like basically Amorphactor Pain is D-Barrier, right? So they're going to be so far behind most of the time that just putting the Masquerena is going to kill them. However, sometimes I want an orange light in my hand in case they can fight through that, but then I wouldn't go in the IP Masquerena. That's what I mean. Like, it's a lot to take in. But anyways, guys, and kind of rounding out and getting back to my point, just to kind of round out the combo, you now have these. Your Fairy Search is now giving you orange light. And then from there, you're going to kick back the ritual spell into your hand. And then you're going to essentially activate. Get rid of these two, because that's two, that counts as two different monsters. Again, just in case you have forgotten, you're going to summon out Amorphactor. And then from there, Amorphactor Pain activates on summon. Again, in case you guys forgot it, and zoom in case you forgot. D-Barrier, and it skips their phase instantly. And then from there, you probably turn these two into the Mirage Lights. And then from there, that's pretty much usually what your board will look like. But again, this monster, these cards, and depending on what the matchup is, determines these cards. But basically, guys, having this, to be able to have this, which basically kicks a lot of cards back into your hand, is really, really just a decent board. Now, again, if you didn't pick this, and let's say you went with your fairy search, you picked out Lancia, for instance, and this is what I mean by variance, then your board would just shift where you'd maybe have like IP Masquerena, this, and a Lancia. So like, that's what I mean, guys. There's a lot of variance, variety, whatever the word I'm using, whatever word I'm looking for. I feel like it's still a decent deck, guys. Although it's in the rogue category, it's still pretty strong. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Happy New Year to you. Pegasus out.